Peace, y'all. This is Rob. You know what I'm saying? Coming live from the prisons with this Robb Report. This is the end of 2021, so Happy New Year, everybody. And I'm probably going to turn up today. But before we get started, I wanted to just give a special acknowledgement to my Aunt Cecile. Her heart stopped the other day, and God's kept her alive, so I would just ask that everyone out there just put her in your prayers. And my stepmom, Geneva, same thing. She was rushed to the emergency and God's kept her, so I just definitely would ask that everybody just keep your prayers out for my family. Before I get started, I'd like to just give a shout out to my two cousins out in Michigan, my cousin Harvey and my cousin Bernie Ray doing life out there. Y'all ain't forgot, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there. Shout out to my family out in Detroit. Shout out to my block boys out in Portland, you know what I'm saying? I got a special guest here today. So let's get this thing started. I got my guy KG. KG, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Keo. I'm on here, to tell the truth and, from my perspective, and hopefully everybody, who's ever tuned in is receptive to what I got to say.
All right, yo, that's what's good, So, yeah, man, I've known KG for a while, so, like, KG's out of Tacoma. So, this is our chance to really talk about Tacoma a little bit and just talk about some of the prison life and stuff. So, without further ado, KG, kind of just tell them about Tacoma, how things are structured out there, like gang styles, east side, west side, whatever. Give us a clear vision of what Tacoma looking like.
Okay, I don't know what it's looking like now, but because I've been in here 21 years. But when I was out there, it was, pretty much, nothing but some gang activity, drugs, and unfortunately, I was brought up in a neighborhood where there was a lot of that, and I got caught up in it at a young age, and I'm here.
Okay, now when you was out there though, like help the audience understand. Like you're from one side of Tacoma, you got other sides of Tacoma where there's other gangs and whatnot. So what side of Tacoma you from?
I'm from the east side. There's a whole lot of different gangs on the east side. Even more now, than it was at the time when I was out.
All right. So you said you've been down for like 20. So you've actually had an opportunity to kind of like see what's going on, and you get to just tap in with these cats as they coming into the prison. So what do you think the main problem is now? Not when you feel, but what do you think the main problem is now?
What I think the main problem is now is, it's a lack of good influences out there, and good leadership. Because there's from the feel of what I'm getting from these cats that's coming in now, man, it's a lot of them are getting caught up in in gangs and drugs, and they really ain't got no good direction. They're coming in here, and that lifestyle is being perpetuated with them coming to prison and getting caught up in the same thing in here, and not really getting nothing out of or learn anything from coming in here. Because it's the same thing going on up in here as well.
Right. Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, did you think that we failed a lot of these younger cats? Is that what I'm hearing you saying? Did we fail them, or was it something else?
I don't feel that we fail them because it ain't over. But I do feel like, just for like myself, I feel like a bad example was set for myself. Like I said, I grew up in a neighborhood, and there was nothing around me but gangs and drugs and that lifestyle. And so, of course, that's what I fell into because that's what was there. But as far as us failing them, I don't feel that we fail them because I feel that we still have the opportunity to set a good example for the younger generation. Help them learn from our mistakes.
Okay, I dig it. I hope the people dig it too. I want to just go backwards real quick. Before you fail, I want to just kind of understand, because I don't understand, because I'm not from out in Tacoma, but I just want to kind of understand. So, like, you're from the east side of Tacoma. I'm going to imagine if there's Crips, Bloods, and GDs on that side, and then do you have a west side of Tacoma and a south side and the different other areas, or is it just two sides, or how many different sides of Tacoma is there?
There's the hilltop, there's the east side, there's Lakewood area. And everywhere you go in Tacoma, there's a lot of gangs, especially east side though. East side got there's pretty much everything on the east side. Because the east side is a little bit bigger than a lot of other areas.
Okay. And I just asked because I know, like, when I was over at like McNeil, that's something I did notice was that a lot of the people from like the east side of Tacoma seemed to be like a bigger network. But I seen everybody was kind of together though, so that was kind of like eye catching for me. So I just wanted to clarify that real quick. But I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about prison for a second. Because you've been in prison for, like, you said 21 years or 22 years?
21 years.
Okay, so like a lot of people have misconceptions about prison. You know what I'm saying? So like when you think about the misconceptions between what the public thinks and what's really going on in prison, let's talk about that real quick. What are some misconceptions about prison, if you can think of any off the top of your head?
I mean, I think one of the misconceptions of prison is what the public have is they think like a lot of people up in here are ignorant. We're in here and, you know, we haven't learned anything and we just a lot of us still deserve to be here, even though, you know, like as for myself, I've been in here 21 years and I think I've, you know, after 21 years, I think I've changed and I've corrected who I am. And I think like a lot of people, they fail to realize it because of what's being put out there about, you know, I mean, such like what's going on now, you know, out there with all these shootings and all this different stuff. It's kind of making us kind of look bad.
Right.
No, I think that's one of the misconceptions though about prison though, because it's a stereotype of just us being, you know, unchangeable, and us, you know, even though a lot of us had to like, you know, find that change on our own and, you know, and develop on our own, because I mean in here there's really no opportunity or no, you know, program. I mean, you know how it is. There ain't no programs, you know, for us to really to sit in place by DLC for us to.
Right.
Yeah. So it's pretty much up to us.
Yeah. And and you know, and like when I think about misconceptions, I know a lot of people out there think we eat good and we eat teriyaki and we eat all these different things, and that's not true either. But we're gonna get into that.
Nah, they killing us,
man. We'll get into that a little bit later because you touched on something really important. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, basically you're talking about. With there not being very many opportunities and we got to do things ourselves, it's really set up to be a revolving door. So I'm gonna just start there with you. So what's your thoughts on that? Because you pretty much touched on it already.
I mean, for me, I feel like this system, man, is designed for us to get out. You know, for us to keep coming back. I mean, obviously, it's keeping a lot of people employed within the system. You know, so I feel like, you know, I mean, and we all know where it stems from. I mean, so I feel like there's like, even though they call it the Department of Corrections, but I don't think like there's no rehabilitation in here. I don't feel like there's no. I mean, there's nothing there's no system set in place to help us become better people. I mean, we have to come in here and we have to do that on our own. Okay.
Right.
And it took me 13, 14 years for me to finally wake up and open my eyes and realize, like, you know, this ain't for me and I needed to change. But I had to do that on my own, you know?
Right.
You know, because we're lacking these kinds of programs to help us do that, and we're lacking these programs for a reason.
Right.
And that kind of so that kind of goes back to what I was talking about. Like, you know, a lot of these younger generations, they coming in here, and some of them come in here, you know how it is, they come here with 2-3 years, and they walking out, they ain't getting nothing out of here, and then they come right back. I mean, we all seen it. So,
most definitely.
Yeah.
And that's good because I think that, like, with me, man, I think that, like, a lot of people on the outside, right, when we get sentenced, and don't get me wrong, you know, we deserve to be held accountable for the things we do. But I think a lot of times people will be like, yo, throw him in prison. He needs to pay his debt to society. But what people have to realize that are on the outside is that when you come to prison, this is called a correctional center, but they're not going to correct your actions. It's up to you as an individual to say, hey, I screwed up. Let me take my own steps, because they're not giving you nothing. They're not going to give you the anger management or anything that you need. You dig? So, I mean, you hit on it. And so I think that's where we was going, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in reality, we know that they don't even want us to get out of here. And when we do get out of here, you know, because they make it so hard for us to get out of here, and then when we do get out of here, you know they want us to come back. I mean, because, you know,
right.
I mean, we can see that, though.
Right.
You know, it's obvious to see that, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Then, you know, a guy, when he finally does get out, you know, I would just add that he doesn't have a lot of the training. So let's just say, like, somebody gets in here and they don't want to help themselves. They just want to do their time and then go back to the streets. Well, they're going to go back and disrupt the community. You dig what I'm saying? But I want to go back to your community for a second. What do you think is lacking in the community of just Tacoma, not any other community, just Tacoma?
What I think is lacking in Tacoma, man, I think there needs to be more opportunity. And I think there needs not only opportunity, but I think there needs to be a lot more people like yourself and like me, you know, that's been through situations like this and to get out there and to educate, you know? I mean, because that's the thing, you know. You know what really kind of gave me the best perspective on what the community is like is from being in here and having lived with people. Like they, like not too long ago they put someone in the cell with me, right? And he was a youngster, and just from talking to him and seeing in him like how lost he was, just like you know exactly what I'm talking about. And just because I used to always talk to him and try to pick his brain. And just to seeing how lost he was and like just how misguided he was, and he was so deep in his in his state of not knowing what was going on, not realizing what his situation was, and and I could tell that he didn't have much time, and I could tell that he was going to get out of here with that mentality. And I know how dangerous that mentality is because that used to be me, and that's why I'm here right now. That's why I'm here. I had to do 21 years because of the things that I did. But I've seen this though, right? And I realized the only thing that was gonna get, and I tried my best every day. I talked to him. I tried my best to get through to him. But I knew the only thing that was gonna get through to him, and then I started to resonate. It's just some of the stuff I was saying to him started to resonate with him after a while. But the only thing that can get through to somebody like that is somebody that didn't live it. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like that's one of the things that's missing in the community. We got a lot of people out there that they're promoting this ignorance. This lifestyle, you got to get out there and just, and that's essentially what it is, man. They doing all these shootings and all this stuff, not even knowing the lives that they're destroying and how they're destroying themselves as well. So I think that's one of the essential things that we need out there is like good leadership, good influences, just good role models out there. And along with that, some real opportunities for people.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're speaking on it. Not just thinking about something you said a little bit earlier, too, where you were talking about how you've earned your opportunities, right? But Washington State, for a lot of people that don't know, is a state that doesn't have parole. It doesn't have anything for somebody like you that's actually put in the work. But then they'll gamble on somebody that hasn't put in the work. And then he goes out, shoots everything back up, and then they go on the news and say, look what this ex-offender did, right? But I say all that to say because I feel like in a lot of ways our lawmakers are failing the state. So I just want you to just tell me and tell the people out there, how do you see the lawmakers failing the people?
I feel like they're failing the people because they're misinforming them, and just like for me, having spent all this time in, and I don't know, I can't say I'm 100% sure that they see it as I see it, but for me, spending 21 years in the system, I can see from, what is needed, for when someone comes in here to rehabilitate someone. Okay, I can see the, the programs they could put, maybe some job training, some more education, and set people up so they can, when they get out of here, they can get a job, and not letting people. What they're doing right now is you come into prison, you do 15 years in prison, you getting out of prison $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt, and you owe them money. And you see what I'm saying? And you done spent all this time in here with no job skill, no nothing. So what are you gonna go back to? You know what I'm saying? And they know, and I feel like they know all this stuff, and they have to. Because it's their system. They're running it. They know all this stuff. And year after year, the legislation is being proposed for parole, for education, all this stuff, and it's being denied. It's not a priority to them. Okay? So that right there just tells me that the way that the system is the way that they want. Okay? And what it's going to take, and what it's going to take for that to be changed. I don't think it's these legislators. It's the people in the community is going to have to step forward and start seeing stuff for what it is and become more involved, because that's what's pushing these legislators to pass these bills that they keep shooting down year after year.
Right. And you touched on something again very important. So I just want to paint a picture for the audience that's listening. So like for me, when I failed, I took a court-appointed lawyer. They'll tell you can have one, but what they didn't tell me was they was going to charge me $10,000 for that lawyer, and then they're going to charge me all this occurring interest, and now I owe close to $100,000. So I'm definitely going to be out, and I'm not going to be free. But I also think about how they do that county of origin, to where they'll let you release to the same county where you may have killed somebody. They force that on these people, so you got to go back out and fend for self. But KG, I'm gonna call right back in. So I want you to answer this question for the people while I call back in. So there's a lot of men who take steps like yourself to rehabilitate and redeem yourself. You know what I'm saying? But in prison, that's a gift and a curse. You know what I'm saying? So as I call back in, can you just tell the people how that's a gift and a curse?
What was the question? Yeah, that's the question again, because it cut you off at the end.
Okay, yeah, I wanted you to answer. I said that what's the gift and the curse? Like you were saying, basically how we can rehabilitate ourselves, but I wanted the people to know that in prison sometimes that can be a gift and a curse. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to know, just offhand, could you explain to the people how that could be?
I mean,
here, I'm gonna give you a better example.
Yeah.
Okay, so check it out. So let's just say, let's say KG's a different man now. So KG sees two people fighting, but KG goes and breaks the fight up. KG's going to the hole. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about how you can be doing something good. Like, for example, we're doing Filthy Rags outreach work, but the administration don't want us to do it, but they're not going to provide an outlet. You understand what I'm saying? To help people. So, like, on one hand, we're redeeming ourselves and we're trying to put this work in, but it's always met with resistance and punishment, even when you're trying to do the right thing on the prison level. So I didn't know if you could speak to it, but I think I've already done a pretty good job of that. But if you got something to add, you go right on ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you something, man. A few years ago, right?
Yeah.
I was at Walla Walla. You know, Walla Walla is supposed to be one of the most, I don't know what you want to call it, closed custody where all the knuckleheads is at, right?
Yeah.
And I was a tier rep up there. Okay. So people that don't know it, that's like I spoke for everyone in the unit that I was living in. Me, along with a diverse group of other people that were locked up. It was like three of us. And while I was up there, they had this they was having a food strike. You know, and there was a lot of stuff going on. People were they were tripping about like how they're being treated, and I don't know if you've been up there, but they got like a level system, right? And if you're level 1, you get to come out for 3 hours a day. But if you're level 2, you get to come out like for 1 hour every other day. Sometimes 2 times a week you're coming out for 1 hour to use a phone call, or whatever. Okay, so while I was a tier rep, I spoke to the other tier reps, and we came up with a plan where we were going to try to let me go back a little bit. First, they came with this new policy that if you're programming, meaning if you're going to school, working, that you automatically get your level 1. Okay, so the trick was there's no education being offered to a lot of people, especially with people. You know how it is when people you got over 20 years. Like you can't take a lot of education is not available for you. You just can't take it. Just to prioritize it for people that are a couple years left or whatever. They're the ones that get an education. Okay, so we came up with this proposal for the unit manager there, and the proposal was that we can create some classes in the unit, because they had like this classroom inside of the unit that we were living in, and it wasn't being used. So we were trying to come up with like a book club, a violence reduction class where even we came up with a class where people can go in there and just talk about like things that they could do to better the environment, so that guys can get along, because there's a lot of fights going on, there's a lot of gang, all that stuff. So we were just trying to come up with some positive stuff and coming up with stuff, we were trying to create some classes so that guys can come in here, take these classes, and get their level. Okay, so we came up with this long proposal, man, and we talked to the CPM, the unit manager, and they would not they just refused to allow us to do these classes, and they were just coming up. When we were the first one there to talk to the unit manager, he was like, "Oh, yeah, this is a good idea. We need stuff like this. This is something positive. Reduce the violence in this unit, all. And then he shouted up to the programs manager, and they just kept shooting it down, right? For stupid reasons, like well, we don't have anyone to. You know how they do it. They just come up with all kinds of reasons why it can't happen. And so I think I realized then that it ain't that there was a reason why they did not want it to happen. The reason why they was giving us wasn't a legitimate reason. The real reason why they didn't want it to happen is because they want us to, participating in violence and all. They know all the the prison politics. All that they want discord within the system so that they can show that these individuals need to be here.
Right.
Okay, so they can they have because they get the statistics where he's saying or there's always this many fights in the unit or this stuff going on. These guys they can't get along. They're and that's what they want. So when we try to come together for something positive, and it was all different races too. You know how it is. I mean we how it is with especially with the different races up there.
Right.
They don't get along, but we came together for this, and they shot it down.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that tells you everything right there. If they don't want that, okay? What they want to see is, discord, the fighting and okay, now we can justify these people need to be here. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely, I see it, and I'm glad that
I understand what you said.
Yeah, no, but I'm glad that you're telling these people that are listening how things really are, because a lot of times, like, bro, we have to be realistic. I feel like a lot of the street stuff and the prison stuff runs hand in hand, because when the guys bring themselves to prison and you already have people trying to help, these people will resist anything that you're doing to help people better themselves and better their circumstances, right? And then they'll release this guy right back out there to come back through this revolving door. But when this guy gets back out there, he goes and robs a store, or he goes and kills somebody, or something senseless happens, when we've had opportunities to help people. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, even with this outlet, I want to be able to, at some point, be able to speak to victims, too, and have victims call in so they can tell their stories, too, because a lot of times they don't understand how these people play on fear, but they don't accept no accountability in it. So brother, I appreciate you just being candid on that, because it paints a really good picture of what's going on out there. But also on the flip side, we also have people that are our age, too. So I want to speak about that are still trapped in the gang lifestyle. So when people like me or you try to speak life into a youngster, sometimes people get upset about that. They don't want you to talk to the young homies and give them that real stuff. You know what I'm saying? They'd rather keep them in that ignorance, right?
Yeah.
So it goes both ways. I'm not just going to attack the system. We also make mistakes, too. So could you speak about that?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, to speak about that, I would say like I really don't. For me, I really don't have no understanding of how someone could be 40, 30, 40 years old and still like it's hard for me to understand, man. So speaking on that, it's like, because I don't know, maybe it's like a mental health or something. I don't know, man. But I mean, for me, I just think it's like after a certain amount of time, man, you got to grow up, man. You got to take accountability for yourself. You got to be responsible for your actions and your life, and what you put out there, And I know exactly what you're saying. Because I see it every day, where these guys are pushing this garbage, amongst everyone that they could push it upon. So I get it. And I think, part of that too is lack. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, but maybe that's a lack of, the opportunities they have and education that's offered to them as well. I don't know. Maybe just everybody just don't wake up on their own.
Yeah. And I just wanted to, put both sides of that picture out there, because, even with this work that we're trying to do, it's a lot of work, because we're still met with resistance from our own people as we try to save these lives. Sometimes it feels like, the misery loves company type thing, or, oh, don't listen to them guys, they do it, and so, people need to understand that even as we try to do this work and we try to help, we're still met with resistance from our own people, too. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to make sure that we're being very honest with the people that listen, right? Because I want them to have a full understanding of how things operate for us and the struggles that we're up against, because this work's not easy. But I want you to talk to the people and tell the people what made you decide to just change your life.
What made me decide to change my life is because I think a lot of it came with just me growing up, me becoming mature. I mean, I had a younger brother that was in and out of prison, and I and I kind of feel like he followed me to prison, you know, because he was very young when I first came to prison, and he was in and out of prison, you know, up for 16 years, you know, and he passed away in 2016. He got out of prison and he died, you know, not even 2 months after he got out of prison, and that just made me realize that was one of the key things that made me like just really open my eyes and just gave me a real, true perspective on like just everything, like my life, like you know the situation I got myself in, and you know, and I mean I think that's one of the key things that really opened my eyes. So is that, and just you know, and just I mean not only that too, but you know just like I realized like the harm that I've caused, you know, to you know the victims, and not only the victims but just everybody that I did wrong to, you know, and I think after we obtain that maturity, that with that comes the understanding, you know, and empathy for others, and you know just all these things is just you know is essentially what got me to where I am now.
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad you're in that space. You know, I'm definitely glad you're in that space. And you know, so one of the things that you just hit on, and I'm just kind of building off of what you're saying too, is you were just talking about how like the death of your brother impacted you. But I would like for you to just kind of be a little bit honest with the people and talk about how you coming to prison, how that impacts your family. How does that impact your mom or whoever looked up to you or your sisters, and how does that impact them?
And it impacted. That's one of the things I think it really impacted the most is just the relationship that I have with my family. And it makes me kind of emotional, you know, to talking about this and even thinking about it, because like I mean I can say that it kind of tore, you know, it broke the ties that I had with my family, you know, because after having spent 20 plus years away from them, you know. I got nieces and nephews growing up that I ain't never even seen, you know.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but you know, I think, like I said, you know, there's something that I realized, like this is what this system is designed for, you know, because. And I'm gonna say it. I mean, we know where this stems from. This stems from, you know, from a time, all these laws and you know a lot of these, you know, this legislation. I mean, this stuff stems from a time when, you know, we weren't even considered human beings. Okay, these are the people that created, you know, a lot of this stuff and you know put a lot of this system in place. So I understand why, you know, the design of it. I mean, they were doing the same thing back then, you know, tearing families apart, and you know, and it was very cold and vicious, just as it is now. And there's a story I want to tell you too about this guy that I met while I was here, 61-year-old man that's been in prison, like I think like 30 some years. He's been here for murder, and there's someone that I mean, I don't think you remember the little guy, Cam that was over here. He kept going up to the hospital, and the little Asian guy, Cam.
I don't remember him.
Yeah, he's so quiet and he's so stay to himself that he's probably, yeah. I didn't notice him for a long time either until his roommate asked me to talk to him one day. Anyway, well, he asked me to talk to this guy one day, right? Because this guy was going through it and he was dealing with some anxiety and, you know, a lot of different stuff, right? All of a sudden, okay? And I understood this because I had anxiety issues myself as well. Okay, and I started dealing with that, you know, in 2018. I was at Walla Walla in the middle of the night one day. Middle of the night, I had a panic attack. And I didn't know what it was. It scared me. I declared a medical emergency, went up to medical, EKG and all that, and they kept telling me nothing was wrong with me, but I kept, you know, it just kept happening to me. And that's, you know, that was my first experience with anxiety. Okay, so and I was telling his roommate about this. I finally got a hold of it, and I'm able to deal with it now. But I was telling his roommate about this, and I was describing it to him. Because he was telling me about the stuff that his roommate was going through. So I told him. So I said, I knew what it was. So I told him it was anxiety. So I sat down and I talked to him, and this guy, like, I mean, this thing is something that moved me so much, man. Like, he didn't know what was happening to him. Like, this guy. And let me just tell you the story about this guy. This guy been in prison like 30 years. Okay, he hasn't had one. He's just like you. He hasn't had one infraction this whole time he's been in prison. Okay, and I think he had like 11 years left. Okay, this guy was up in there losing his mind. I mean, like every other day he's having a panic attack, going just like he came to the point where he started talking about he didn't want to live no more and all this stuff. And he's walking around here amongst us every day, and nobody is coming in here, And he's in their system. That's what thing that I looked at it. He's within this system where these people are supposed to, the Department of Correction, we're supposed to, make us better. And he's walking around here losing his mind, going crazy with his anxiety and all this stuff, suicide, and all. He's going through all this stuff, and nobody's helping him.
Right.
Okay, he keeps going back and forth to medical, and and they're just sending him right back. They'll keep him up there one day and just send him back back down here. Nothing's wrong with you and all this stuff. And this is stuff that he's going through, and it really just made me look at this man like what is the after I can understand he did something wrong to be here, okay, but like after 30 years,
right,
he's an old man,
right,
like harmless,
right.
This guy was like a little tiny little mouse, harmless.
Right.
What's the point? You're keeping this guy. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
And where is the professionals or somebody to come in and evaluate this situation and sit down and talk to this guy and find out? You see what I'm saying? There's nothing there.
Yes, yeah. I know exactly what you're saying, and that's the thing too, man. Is that a lot of times, they don't understand. Like we're in here, we deserve to be here. But as we learn, we're still dealing with things. We're dealing with food that's designed to kill us, that's designed to raise our blood pressure. We got guys here with diabetes. We just had two brothers die we just had two brothers die in 2 days. We had a brother die today and one died yesterday. But people on the outside, they don't understand these different things. You talked about the mental health and the different things
60 seconds remaining.
that a guy will go through. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that. And KG, as this time's running out, I just want to say thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for your honesty, your transparency. And I want to give you the last word with the audience out there.
Yeah. My last word is, I hope everybody felt what I had to say. And all I can ask is look, do what you can. Okay?
Yeah, bro. Thank you, man, for your time, man.
I
appreciate you, man. And I would close out by telling everybody, man, that we definitely appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys' support. We appreciate you guys listening. 2022, we're going to turn this thing up. We're going to get all the way with it, and I hope that we're giving you the right information. One thing I'd like to say is if there's any victims out there, or if you guys out there that's listening know any other people whose stories need to be told, please reach me, Robert Hampton, www.jpay.com, under 708-710. You got any ideas, anything we're missing, any questions, anything that we can do to make you guys understand this lifestyle better, please reach out. I thank you guys for your time. You was rocking with the best. My name's Rob. I'm out. Peace.